Hello and welcome to the third episode of Not Quite Cutting Edge. We're going to be doing a first impressions of the new Dragonflight expansion announcement. I'm here with Tyrannus and Ricasta. I just want to mention that this podcast is going to be slightly different to the other two that I've already done because my original idea fell through. I'm hopefully going to be able to redo that at a later date. And yeah, I'm hoping to do it at a later date. Okay. I now have with me Tyrannus.
Hello, yep, I'm Tyrannus, guildmate of Fires and play a shaman at the minute for my sins.
And Ricasta.
Yeah, hi. So, as same as Tyrannus, I am raiding with Beldandy or Rogaroo, however you want to know him, and I play a DK.
Okay. Okay, so the way that I was going to structure this is I gave both of you a document, and we're just going to go through all of the stuff on that and hopefully chat about what the new expansion's about. Should be quite good. So
Cool, sounds good.
Yep, sounds good.
I think a good place to start would be the opening cinematic, because that's what was revealed first. And
Stony Tony.
yeah, he's got so many names.
Yeah, let's not talk about it straight away about what his name should be.
Stony Boy.
Boy.
Yeah, like the most important part. Yeah. So yeah, I just wondered what your opinions of it was, whether or not you thought it was because I've heard quite varied opinions on the cinematic and things like that.
I think the cinematic itself was really good. Like, I got no issues with sort of the actual art of it. I think we've discussed it recently as well. Just that it felt very much like we're going to this happy sunshine dragon place with no real bad man to deal with. But I thought the actual cinematic was pretty cool. And and as you mentioned, or I mentioned straight away, Rock Boy got me straight away. It got me right in the feels. I thought, oh my god, he's gonna die, and then instantly got saved.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
would you want to go ahead? Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I felt like the animation was like Ricasta said, like really good. Like I think it always really is. I think the thing I found it was like a 5.5 minute like cinematic, and it didn't really feel like very much actually happened in that time. The only thing I found with it.
Yeah, he put a rock back together. Like the
Exactly,
rock broke,
yeah.
and then rock got put back together, and all his friends were dead.
And then he flew around a bit on a dragon. That was
Yeah.
pretty much the cinematic. Yeah, it felt for 5.5 minutes. It didn't feel like
Yeah.
there's very much to it.
Yeah, I would agree with that actually. And I've always ever heard of the Dragon Isles as kind of like a once mentioned thing. It was like, ooh, the Dragon Isles, but that's it. I don't really know too much about the Dragon Isles apart from that. So to see this, I was having to kind of go like, who is this big rock guy? And what's that? So it's like kind of questioning it for the first part, and then it was like, okay, great. Now we're flying around everywhere. Now what kind of thing? That was what I was left with at the end, even though it felt like a very good a cinematic.
Yeah, regardless of whether the how'd you put it, it gets you hyped for the game. It did make the zone look like it makes me want to go to the zone because it made the zone look massive. Like it looks like a huge zone with like loads of stuff, loads of different like. And I'm assuming it was only one area that they actually covered in the cinematic sort of thing. Like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like if you think about that, one of the main things is going to be the flying element. I think they had to build it or design it with that in mind. So you're going to get some real kind of Avatar floating mountains kind of scenes. I feel anyway, and I agree. You definitely felt like that in the cinematic, and potentially that was only one of 5 zones. Was it 4 zones?
4. We're getting 4 zones, 4
Yeah,
new
yeah.
zones. But yeah, it's
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it just seems very different. Like if it feels like I think the parallel that I draw is to Mr. Pandaria. Like it feels very like new, rather than going back to something we know or somewhere else, which I've never really been a fan of the somewhere else expansions. I feel like this is like Mr. Pandaria, sort of somewhere new but here.
Yeah, it was very Miss Panthera. Like even where it's like this hidden island that's just like appeared again after so long. It's really does invoke Miss Pandaria like a lot. And even the cinematic has a similar sort of feel to it. So that might bode well because I think Miss is probably my favorite expansion. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, I kind of agree actually. I think Miss, I did my main raiding, or I first started raiding there, so it does feel like it's the same sort of template. The way they introduced pandas and monks in this mystical land, and now we've got dragons revealed in this mystical land. So it's kind of the same template at the moment.
Yeah, it is very Mists. I feel like it's Mists but different. Like it feels like it doesn't have the bad. The like Mists was always bad because it was pandas, and I know because Kung Fu Panda or whatever was coming out at the same time, so they gave that bad sort of stigma to it. Whereas this doesn't actually have the bad stigma of the pandas. I feel like it's just got draws. Like dragons are always cool.
Yeah, because I think Mist Cinematic did it. That even when I first seen it, it was kind of like, I don't know about this. It looks a bit silly, you know. But I said it ended up being pretty much my favorite expansion. So it is hard to judge just from the cinematic.
I can't remember the cinematic too much. There was a fight between Alliance and Horde at the start, wasn't there? In Mists.
Yeah, and then the
And
panda.
then we're kind of interrupted by the panda. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because that again, that kind of has that Horde versus Alliance feel, but you didn't really get what the bad element was in Dragonflight.
Yeah, I'm hoping
hopefully that gives it a bit more a sort of mystery to it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you do want to go there to see, okay, what are we going to get? There's a bit of unknown about the bad guy.
It's a bit more explory rather than
Yeah.
Oh, the world's ending. World's ending
that's another thing.
again.
There has been so many world-ending things that they can't do another one. Well, they couldn't do another one.
Yeah.
But then
yeah,
again,
they have
so-
these
yeah.
threats that just kind of stack on top of each other. It kind of gets a bit
Yeah,
much over time.
exactly.
I think that's such a bad way to go, sort of thing. To go like keep making a bigger threat. I think it's a never-ending cycle. Like, oh, we have to make a bigger threat because they beat this guy.
That's basically done with Shadowlands. Like that's what the jailer suggested at the end, kind of Shadowlands as well. I'm kind of glad they haven't went that route with this expansion, or it seems like they haven't anyway.
I'm hoping they just forget about the jailer. Like, yeah, that didn't happen. We forgot about him.
Retcon it out.
Yeah, just sort of like, yeah, we killed him, but like he wasn't. He was just a bit insane.
It was all a bad dream.
Yeah, I'm hoping we've still got one more bit of story for Shadowlands, and I'm hoping that answers a few of the things that. Yeah, he was just off. He was having a bit of an off day. Yeah, no, you beat me. Now I need to say that this ain't bigger and scarier so that I didn't lose. Yeah. So we're happy with the cinematic. I think a lot of, like I said, I've heard complaints that it feels like there's not very, but I think the cinematic itself was really good. Like they need to do a TV series, an animated TV series with their cinematic crew because it looks so good.
Oh yeah, like the quality's always really good. And like is it like that way? It was a really good cinematic. I said I just felt like not much happened in it, but I mean I don't really mind that much because again I think Mist was quite similar and ended up being a great expansion, so can't really judge just from that.
Yeah, I always feel like the reveal cinematics are their team flexing. Like, look how good we can actually make things. Like, we need to make it good. Yeah, it's like, oh, we need Alex Straza. Yeah, we got the idea that she's gonna. Yeah, but we can make her fly under the bridge and the rainbow on the water and things like that. Because I thought that was really cool, under the bridge with the water on the wing, and then they did the rainbow like from the wing.
Oh yeah, yeah, and they made it like the area itself does look gorgeous. You know,
Yeah,
it makes you actually want to go there.
It definitely had that draw for me, at least, that I actually want to go to the Dragon Isles. I keep wanting to call it Dragonlands. It's definitely Shadowlands. It's got me into
Shadowlands. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I was like Dragonlands. That sounds familiar, and I was like, oh yeah, of course, Shadowlands.
So I was gonna, because you know what they call like box features, right? I think that's what they call them, like out of the box features. And I was gonna say, out of all of the announced out of the box features sort of thing, what is the things that you're looking forward to that they've announced, sort of thing?
You mean like the new features are coming in expansion?
Yeah, like you've got the Drakthir, the new talent system, the dragon riding, professions, the new UI stuff is all like the announced.
Yeah, for me, like the big thing is the new talent trees. Like that's the thing that stood out.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah, it's huge.
Okay, so maybe we should start with the talent systems first. As soon as we're all, because I was
That's
going to
the
say,
hype, yeah.
I was going to say I think for some people, I think the biggest hype is definitely the Drakthir and stuff like that. But I think we'll start with the talent systems, seeing as we all seem very excited about the new talents and talent trees. So, like, do you like the change going from the 3 slots with 7 rows, right? I think that's what we have.
I think it is 7 now, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
To
yeah.
more of a tree where you can actually have choices and.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a massive improvement, but I mean, I've always been a fan of the old talent trees anyway, and also it's quite similar to that for a similar idea. I think at the minute the choices we have just don't feel great, and I like just getting a talent point every level. It just feels nice to get to every level. It feels like you're getting something every time you level up, and you can pick a new talent. So I know I'm definitely a fan of them.
Yeah, although it's kind of boring to say, but I totally agree. It's like when Classic came out. I mean, it's nice to go back and feel nostalgia, but the main thing was the old talent trees.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of seen that as well. People coming back and loving the old talent trees.
Yeah.
I've never been a fan of the way it works now. When they changed it when did they change that actually?
When did they change? Get rid of them? I think that was Warlords.
Into the 3. Was it Warlords?
I think it was Warlords. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been a big fan of it ever. I don't like the idea of changing in and out of different bosses in a raid. I've always felt like your class should have a niche and stick to that throughout, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're pretty poor and single target, yeah, that's your classmate. Not having to switch around in between bosses and then jumping back. So you've got the Covenants now as well, so you've got to switch stuff out for that and then switch talents. I've never really liked that, but I do like the idea of having sort of a different set for like dungeons, because it is a different encounter.
Yeah.
But yeah, talent tree, 100%, definitely.
We're pro talent
tree. I
tree.
think it's going to be easy to change. Anyway, I think it is still going to be something you can change on the fly quite easily, from what I heard in interviews at least.
Well, it looks.
But you basically save. I think you can save like configuration and you can switch between them and stuff like that. I don't know how easy it's going to be to change, but
yeah, there's, as far as I can see, if you look at the actual like the screenshots that we have, there's a button that is just like respec all points, like refund all points, and you just press that and it'll just get rid of all your points. And I think there was like a drop down menu that allows you to like select like profiles.
Yes, there is. There's like, so you can save profiles, and I think you can just switch between those easily as well. So it does look pretty user friendly so far, anyway.
Is it profiles? I've got some casual people are not going to be liking that.
I was going to say, yeah. And there was also something that was actually kind of cool. I think there's a import feature that you're going to be able to like get drop down, press import, so you can just go to say Wowhead or Icy Veins, wherever you get your talent tree from. Press one button, you press import, job done. If you don't want to deal with like, I don't want to deal with the tree sort of thing, I just want to play the game, you can just go, yeah, what's the best or supposed best?
Yeah, there's
something. Can I just import it?
One of the interviews with Ion, I think he actually said something about having preset ones as well. So I don't know if the game's going maybe it's going to have those where you can just like get it to pick for you.
That'd be quite cool actually, if there's preset ones.
He's like, so for people maybe more casual and maybe can't really be bored of all that, it still maybe gives them the option just to go, okay, yeah, just pick it for me,
It'd be nice.
No, I was going to say I kind of liked that from the old talent trees from Classic and RAF, where you could kind of tell if a player didn't know too much how to play their class, if they just did a crazy rainbow build and just picked random things all over the place. You're kind of like, okay, they might not know how best to play this. It's going to give you a bit of an indication.
Rainbow build.
The rainbow strat just across the lot.
Yeah, like there's always, especially with these sorts of things, there's always going to be like a cookie car that's always going to be the best. There's always going to be a best.
Can't really prevent that. Like that's the thing. Same with the new talents and the old ones, but I think having more choice is still nice. It still opens up more possibilities.
Yeah, I agree. The ability to min-max in more in depth is something that I way prefer. Like I used to like reforging, even though it cost tons of gold.
Yeah, I think it maxed at 50 gold.
Yeah,
that felt like a lot at that point.
Reforging was expensive. Like
regemming everything as well. It wasn't just one or two gems. It was like every piece had a gem.
Something that I noticed on the tree as well is that you've also got. I noticed that, for example, Rebirth and like Stampeding Raw, Innovate are all on, because they only released Druid trees. They only had Druid trees for the thing. But yeah, Innovate, for example, was on the Druid tree. And I was thinking, well, if your healers don't need innovate, can you technically save that point and put it into another DPS point and things like that?
Actually, one of the interviews I watched, I think they actually asked that question, because I think one of the things worried about is that people would just go, "Oh, I don't need any utility. I'll just go full DPS."
Full
But
DPS.
They made it sound like it's the way it's going to be laid out, that you pick like certain utilities. You're going to have to pick certain utility
Like
points.
it's gated. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't have to necessarily take the certain one. Like, I think interrupts are on there too, so you don't actually have to get interrupt, but maybe you'll take a stun instead or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm hoping there's flexibility. One of the things that I would like to see on the talent tree is raid buffs. Remove the raid buffs as a class, have multiple classes have them, but make it so that they're actually on the talent tree. So one person can be every week, okay, I'm going to take the raid buff this week, you don't have to. And you can swap people out. So you can say the DK is taking the physical debuff this week. And then next week, the monk is taking it, so the DK can have a slightly better week. And things like that. And PI. Put PI on the tree. And things like that.
Yeah,
or just outright remove PI. But
That's a touchy subject. PI.
To me, PI should just be priest, like the shadow priest. It should be a shadow priest thing, and it's the self buff. I think would just save all these issues.
Yeah,
but...
yeah, just do it yourself. They just save so many arguments.
Put it in the shadow priest tree. There you go.
Yeah, you put like the imp buff, the battle shout, the what else is there? The magic debuff, the physical debuff. You put them all on the tree. And that way, like, it makes super flexible for Mythic Plus. Like, you can have say you can't find the classes that you want. Like, you're running a high key and you've got a rogue and you want a monk because you want the physical debuff. Well, no, your rogue can now give the buff. Like, make it so that they're rooted in a way that every melee class can give the debuff or the buff, depending on it.
It'd be nice to spread this stuff out a bit more, because, like, as you know ourselves, like, we were struggling, like, for example, to get a mage, and it's only like you'd literally only one class can give that buff. It sort of feels quite bad.
Yeah, I know people say it's class identity, which I really don't agree with. I don't think giving intellect is a mage identity. Like,
yeah, I'd agree. It's actually casting spells of your spec.
Yeah.
Like some of those iconic abilities from your actual spec, like combust, for example, and things like that. But buffs, not so much. I wouldn't say it like that way.
Yeah, there's way more iconic things that they do. I know that they going down the tree and things like that. There was like skills on the left, but I think they've actually said that they've removed those at the moment in the current build, so they may not be a thing. That once you get down to a certain part on the tree, you gain a skill and things like that.
Yeah, there was some. Again, one of the videos I watched, there was talk of some stuff they've removed for now that might not go live. It's just kind of still
early testing. I quite like that idea though. Like, if it is removed, it's not a problem. But like, it felt good that there was like skills that you gained for free just for filling out the tree.
I know there is some for free just when you pick your spec as well. There's just a few things at the start that are for free. I guess they're just kind of maybe some of the abilities are kind of like the key to the spec. I guess you get those for free.
I'm hoping with leveling you can pre-plan your path, so that like if you're speed leveling, like I like to do, you can just like just auto fill out your points as you level up. Like you can pre-plan the path and it will auto put the points in. That'd be so cool for like speed leveling and things like that. That you don't actually have to think about it.
Like a game you like to play, Path of Exile, I found like when I was leveling in that game, it's got quite obviously a complex tree and stuff. It's like sometimes I wish I could have done that, because trying to like do it between levels can be annoying to find where you were and like work out what you were going to take again. So, yeah, something that actually wouldn't be a bad idea.
Like, I know it's like it's super minor and they probably won't do something like that, but it'd just be a cool feature. Like, it's definitely not something that I would say is necessary.
Yeah, it's actually a good. I think I wouldn't have thought of it myself, but now you say it, it actually seems like a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed on any of the screenshots as well that the talents are using the new UI. Like, they're using new UI borders and things like that. They look super clean.
Yeah, I don't actually really pay attention to that part. Yeah,
I didn't notice that actually.
Yeah, they're super clean. It looks really good. It's going to be nice.
The tree itself did look nice, though. Even compared, because I've seen screenshots of like the old vanilla ones, and like obviously they were good at the time, but they do look like aged now compared to the new ones, and they do look a lot cleaner and a lot more modern.
Yeah, I like the idea that interrupts and things like that, they were optional. Because if you're in certain scenarios, like for a boss, that doesn't need interrupts, why, like, it's
Yeah.
just one of those that you can just go, actually, I need an interrupt for this boss, or I need a stun for this boss. I need that. Like, I like the flexibility.
Yeah, I like the idea of being able to change utilities, depending on what you need. Like, so Mythic Plus, you're going to always want an interrupt, basically. But, like I said, for raid bosses, there's some raid bosses where, a lot of raid bosses, really, where you just don't need interrupts at all.
Yeah.
So you can take another utility that's going to be more useful for the raid group. I think that's good.
I'm hoping they put in utility, not just, like, I'm hoping interrupt will be baseline for most classes anyway. Like, I'm hoping they don't just remove them and put them in the tree.
Hard to know, because obviously we've only seen Druid, and it is
Yeah.
in the tree. I think Silence was there, wasn't it, in the tree?
Yeah, which is a really long cooldown. Like, they're the sort of ones that I think would be good. But I'm hoping that
Yeah.
there's going to be, how do you put it? Do you know, like Nia at the moment, where you have a buff, you gain a damage increase if you interrupt. She has that on her tree, on her soulbind tree.
Yeah.
What I'm hoping is that they push more into that, where they can actually, you get like a
Yeah.
bonus for taking the interrupt nodes, basically. Like, so on the interrupt fight, you take the interrupt nodes, and you can think about it.
I think it's also good because it encourages, because sometimes, especially Mythic Plus, it can be hard to get people to interrupt. It actually kind of encourages people to learn to interrupt, which is not a bad thing either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was always pretty quick on an interrupt, but now I get 20 runic power for it. I'm super quick on an interrupt. Like, now it's beneficial to me. I've got a weak aura for it and a sound. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to miss a single one. So if you had something on the talent tree that gave you a slight increase in whatever to do that, then yeah, people would definitely adapt to it.
I'm also...
I also like the idea it's alternating between spec and class point as well now.
Yeah.
Like the two trees for the sort of druid and balance or resto.
Yeah.
I like that. That's definitely a nice introduction.
One of the things that I'm hoping for is as a tank, I'm hoping I can actually have like multiple builds. I'm hoping multiple builds are viable where I can have a very offensive orientated one, a very defensive orientated one, like a mid-ground sort of one. That, like, if I feel like I can get away with pushing damage, I can push damage. Like, I can actually change my tree and take more, say I'm playing monk like I am at the moment. I can take more of the monk ones, which actually give me more damage, or I can shift a few more points back into the brewmaster one to be slightly tankier. Like, I'm hoping there's going to be a difference, and I'm hoping it's the same for healers, that, like, I really need the throughput on this fight. So I'm going to go really heavy on the resto tree, whereas you might feel the healing's like, we're over healing. I feel like I can push more damage. I'm going to take more in the actual druid tree so that I can do more damage. Like, I know that's a little bit harder with, like I think that's why they showcase druid, because I think the advantage with the druid one is maybe they're trying to push the druid hybrid a bit more, that you're going to be able to actually switch and go, okay, I need to switch into tank here to soak this mechanic, or I need to switch into healer so I can actually heal, which I'm hoping you can...
It was probably the only thing, I don't know if it really worked the way the current game's designed, but I kind of missed that hybrid thing when you had, like, it was just you had your spec and then you could put points into any tree, so you could kind of be hybrid. Also, they're not going down that route this time, and the game has changed quite a bit, but I do kind of miss that at times as well.
I think it's really hard to balance when they did that. Like, you had weird stuff like a frost tank originally, like in Wrath for DKs, which they're just like, oh great, we've got to try and work out a way how to balance that so it doesn't completely dick on DPS for frost, but then can't do anything for blood. So yeah, I think it's hard to balance, but you're right.
Panzerkins and stuff like that.
Yeah. I hope there's then a way to swap easily, because at the moment it's like, yeah, you can do it, but you got to go back to Ouroboros to change your covenant, and then you got to go somewhere else to change the conduits. It's like, oh, for Christ's sake. It's like they want you to be flexible, but you're going to have to be punished for that flexibility.
I'm hoping it is just the button at the bottom, reset all points, and then all your points get reset.
Maybe a tome, but at least you can do everything with the tome this time.
Yeah,
it's really annoying. Like I said, if like in the current raid, I know for me there's certain fights that Necrolord's better, certain fights that Nightfy's better, but like in heroic, you can't really justify going back to town constantly.
And we haven't got a lock either.
I haven't got a warlock, so you kind of just have to deal with it, but it doesn't feel great.
Or suck it up. Yeah, that's kind of it at the moment.
Yeah, I'm hoping that, like, especially with the tomes and things like that, that you can push more into the like the talent changing. I have a feeling that the reason they didn't allow conduits is due to the conduits when you're doing the conduits, the reason the conduits, I think it was I can't get the words out, system limitation. I think it's because of the way they designed the conduits. I think that's why they couldn't allow you to change inside the raids and things like that. I think it was to do with like that sort of problem more than they just didn't want to allow it. I think it was a system problem more than a...
Yeah, I guess how they set up at the start, maybe it wasn't possible.
Yeah.
It looked like it borrowed it from the was it Azerite power?
Mm-hmm.
The system we put it into the weapons.
Yeah.
Kind of felt a bit like that. So yeah, maybe they just borrowed the system and converted it a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it was just too much work to try and get it back in and sort that out.
So it'd be nice, even if they did something like, if you like the conduits were linked to your spec or something, so you could have the same soulbind for multiple specs, because like the current system is very limited if you're trying to play multiple specs as well.
Yeah, it is very, very limited in what you can do.
Like to give you an example, like I'm switching between Enhance and Elemental at the minute, and they both actually want to use Dreamweaver, but I can't use Dreamweaver for both and switch easily because I have to change the conduits, like so stuff like that.
Yeah,
yeah, I get that.
I'm hoping that like the new talent system it will just be a matter of choosing a profile or resetting all your points, and then you're good to go.
I have a feeling when you change spec, the initial tree, like you've got the because you're obviously not going to have the enhanced tree and the elemental tree together. I have a feeling that they're going to be separate as well. That the elemental tree will have a separate shaman tree, and the enhanced will have its own shaman tree.
Yeah, ideally, and it would remember those between specs.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah, that would be very helpful.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a lot more to mention about the talents, really.
Yeah, there's one more thing I wanted to mention, actually. Yeah. I know that I saw somewhere, and I can't remember where it was, but they were saying that the current Covenant abilities are being sort of baked into the trees now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Convoke, Slappy Hands as well, right?
I imagine there's, like,
can't wait to use that again.
Specific ones that they're doing.
How do they justify that? What, we just remembered them from Shadowlands? Is that how it works?
I think it's more of a... I have a funny feeling it's more of a gameplay than lore sort of thing. That
yes.
the gameplay goes above the lore. Because
one of the interviews I watched, they did say they aren't necessarily going to do that for all the abilities, just going to be some of them. So maybe some of the more iconic ones. Because like
Convoke.
Yeah.
It's got to be there.
Convoke, Abomination Limb. Yeah, Convoke, Abomination Limb. I could imagine they actually give Paladin Ashen Hallow.
Is that not an actual Paladin ability? Because I've never played Pally before.
No, that's the Venthir Covenant ability.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it feels like it fits their theme. They've got to give it.
I feel like Ashen Hallow, whereas for example, the Kyrian Paladin ability is really cool. Like, it's fun to press, but I don't think it would... That's... How'd you put it? I don't think that's thematic enough to actually fit in.
Yeah. You look at something like Convoke the Spirits, it's just such a druid thing. It doesn't, it doesn't feel tied to Shadowlands. It just feels like a druid thing.
Yeah, and some people may disagree, but Ashen, I feel, could fit. If thinking about Monk, none of the Monk abilities for Brumar's stop, none of them feel iconic. They all feel really lackluster.
Same for Shaman, like... I mainly play Night Fae. Like Fae Transfusion actually is kind of annoying because it's like, especially when you're playing melee and you have to stand and channel an ability. It's something I don't mind if it goes, to be honest.
I was gonna say maybe as a healer it might feel better, like.
But it still just doesn't really, it doesn't even really feel like a shaman ability. Whereas like something like Convoke really feels like a druid ability.
Druid ability, and like.
Yeah, that's true.
Abomination Limb.
Yeah, that is a DK thing only.
Yeah,
definitely. 100%.
Whereas Death's Due, which I'm pretty sure replaces, it's just a
defile.
Yeah, I was gonna say. There's not
do anything special.
So I think they're gonna pick and choose, and I think they're gonna be very aggressive when they pick and choose. They're gonna be like, this fits, this doesn't. Get rid of that.
That makes sense.
And I'm hoping they.
I mean, I'm fine with that.
I'm hoping they rework some of them, sort of thing. Like Ashen. I don't think Ashen should be a 4-minute cooldown. I don't think Ashen should be anywhere near as strong as it is in terms of regarding being a 4-minute cooldown. I'm hoping they take the idea of them sort of skills and maybe tone down the healing on it, tone down the damage on it, and then put it in. Like, rework them.
It's hard to balance for abilities that powerful, especially when burst is so important in the game as well at times.
So Zadira is not a fan of Ashen.
Yeah. Let's. Yeah. So, anything else about the talents that you're looking forward to,
I
or
don't think so. No,
yeah,
no concerns. Just excited to have that level of min-max back.
there's going to be 70 points, I assume.
No, you get your first one at level 10.
Oh, so it's 60 points.
So 60.
It's the same as before then.
Yeah, and you get one more of your spec ones than you get of your class one, so it's 31-30 the split.
Oh, is it? Oh, is it like that? I was hoping it'd be slightly different, that you could actually mix and match, that you could put, like, instead of having 30 points in the druid tree, you could put a few more into the guardian tree or whatever.
No, basically it alternates. So like, you level 10, you pick your spec and you get your first spec point, and then at level 11 you get your class point, and then it alternates back and forth.
Yeah, it's not too bad, I guess.
I think it's a big improvement on their current talent.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to try and just create trees and mess around. Even if people are going to come out with the min-max, I just want to play with the trees myself anyway, and go like, I play very differently to most people anyway, so I'll definitely enjoy it.
Yeah, you probably play your usual off meta anyway.
Yeah.
Just like the Covenants.
Yep. I don't like meta. I guess we can talk a bit about because they're gonna have their own talent tree. We can talk a bit about that. The new class, Drakthir, I believe it's called.
Yeah, they got preservation and devastation, right?
I think that's the two.
That sounds right. Yep.
Yeah.
I read this earlier, but I couldn't remember there until you said it.
Yeah, preservation is healing, and devastation, obviously, damage dealing.
Yeah. So, do you think either of you are going to try the new class, or?
Yeah, I'll try it. Of course.
Definitely give it a go. Be interested to see how it plays.
I really don't deal with range DPS that well, so I might give healer a go.
Do you think
Okay.
I was just going to say, do you think the new mechanic, because they're introducing the whole channel thing where you hold down the key for longer to get bigger bursts and things like that, do you think does that draw you into the class at all, or?
Just to see how it fits in. I'd be interested to see how that works in raids.
Mm-hmm.
So on paper it sounds quite interesting, but basically it's just a long cast time that you're holding, right?
Yeah. But you can release it early. It's like,
that's what I mean. But you can release it, so you don't lose that cast. So
yeah,
it's quite interesting.
It's like casting Pyroblast, but you can like go, okay, I got 4 seconds through the cast instead of 5. I'll release it now and I'll do slightly less damage, but I still fire off my Pyroblast.
Yeah, better to see how they implement it. I suppose I know they were talking about Lost Ark, like they sort of were inspired by Lost Ark. It must do something kind of similar.
I've not played that, so
yeah, unfortunately, nor have I.
But apparently it was, I think it was Ion was talking about this. Like they were kind of inspired by it. They kind of liked the idea of it. But I think they're adding like a toggle system as well for accessibility, so you don't necessarily have to hold the button. You can also have the option to like toggle it.
That sounds quite good.
And press it again, yeah. That kind of maybe sounds easier.
Mm-hmm.
You just press the button and then maybe have a cast bar type thing, I guess, and then you press it again to like activate it whenever it hits a certain point.
It's definitely going to be an interesting class. I have no idea how they're going to, because they seem to be extremely mobile, which is very, like, if you think about current WoW, the most mobile class we've got that's ranged is Hunter.
Yeah, because you don't have cast time.
Yeah.
Move and like, yeah.
And even then, I feel like BM has a lot of mobility, but I feel like they're very low on movement skills. They have disengage mostly. That's it, right? They don't really have access to a lot of health.
Yeah, I think it's the main one, right? The first one you think of.
Yeah. Whereas these look like they're going to actually be like extremely mobile ranged classes. They're going to be like the guy that you give the job to. Yeah,
because they were talking about being kind of like... Again, with the interview, I watched Ion said something like they're going to be like Demon Hunters plus in terms of mobility. So that
Jesus, really?
Interesting.
Okay,
yeah, you actually used the term Demon Hunters plus is how you put it. So that's interesting.
As long as their glide isn't better, and I can still get.
It sounds like it's going to be from how you said it. It sounds like they're going to have like a better glide than Demon Hunters, but. So I'll be like a certain amount of flight near you'll have, but like it won't last forever, is how you put it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine a hyperactive healer. Like instead of just planting your feet and.
Well, it's monk. Monk
flying
is
everywhere.
the
Is Monk really active as a healer? I've never
Monk
played it.
is like you've got Transcendence, you've got Roll, you've got like you spend most of your time in melee. Like it's actually quite a.
I was thinking about in terms of like I don't know what the talent is that makes Fell Rush damage, but like a movement talent that would heal. That kind of
Oh
thing.
yeah, did
Momentum
not think
kind
of
of
that.
Yeah, like momentum and unbound. Is it not unbound chaos? There's one that makes Fell Rush 200%. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah,
But a healing version of that on a mobile healing class would be a bit mad.
that you have to like fly over everyone and breathe on them to heal them.
Yeah, I mean, interesting, but also just totally opposite to any healer.
And I feel
Just
like
quite
it's
a
gonna.
treat.
I feel like it's gonna, how do you put it, kill a lot of healers if that's how it works. We're gonna have to use combat raising. Oh, sorry, I flew off the platform.
Yeah, do you remember like Demon Hunter? I played Momentum build for a while when Demon Hunter came out. Like that build was really easy to like misjudge your fail rush and go off an edge. Like that happened quite a lot.
If I clipped every time I see Mosh fly off the platform in our guild, I think I'd have probably about 50, 60 clips. Because
a compilation video now that you have to make that happen now.
Yeah, it's definitely something I see quite a bit is the Demon Hunter, and it's so good when you see him off the clip because the Demon Hunter has the glide and you can see them trying to climb their way back up, but they can't quite make it. Just looks funny.
So you do that slow fall where you can just glide to your death, but you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and then they try to fell rush and ventral retreat back up, but it's like, no, you're long gone. Just give up. Yeah, they definitely look interesting.
Just what you're talking, just when you're saying about flying over, breathing on something, I seen one of the abilities for the DPS version of the class. It's going to be partly going to be something a bit like a Nixia's deep breath, where you actually do like they fly over and leave like a trail of fire apparently. So I think they are going to have abilities kind of like that, at least the DPS version.
Yeah.
They said it's described as similar to stuff like similar to like Nixia basically, where it's just like a trail of fire.
It's like the Frostwind Fury that DKs have, but it's frost, obviously.
Yeah, I guess it'd be a similar idea, yeah.
5-minute cooldown. It better have a 5-minute cooldown, I'm telling you. I'm not happy.
Not happy if your breath has a longer cooldown than theirs.
If I get to breathe once and they're constantly breathing, they're like, absolutely not. Where do I write?
Yeah, where's my breath?
It had to be a range class as well, right? The new class.
And
we've had so many. We've had so many new melee classes.
Melee leather classes.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before. Like, it's like a has to be a range class. There's no way they can make another melee one, like a melee spec.
Yeah, I just feel like it's easier to design. Like, I think it's because of a design thing, right? It's easier to design a melee than it is a ranged and make it not encroach on the current. I think they've done a good job by the looks of things, because I think like the whole new system with the whole channeling but not channeling, like you get what you get sort of thing. I think they've made quite an interesting class, but like I think it's easier to design a melee that feels unique compared to designing a range that feels unique.
I guess you can base the melee around what type of weapons they use and things like that, whereas really that doesn't come into play at range. It tends to be spells of some kind of element. It's hard to get away from that. And
spells
then
with a theme.
That's it really.
Yeah, what do you think of the customization options on them, by the way? The scowls and stuff.
Yeah, fun, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more interested about the mount and how you can make that unique.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Because the only way you get quite a unique mount is by achievement, just being lucky with a rare drop or having the high top end reward for that has a rare mount. But this will make it unique. I mean, someone's going to have the same options, obviously. But I do like that feature. Just having it unique to yourself just makes it a bit more personal.
Yeah.
I do like I like the dragon forms. I think the sort of more like the other form, like the sort of more human forms, maybe a little bit boring. It's just like a human model with some stuff stuck on, but I like the look of the dragon forms more.
See, I thought that about the females. The female human model looks like female human with bits stuck on. But the males have very interesting faces. They look quite unique. They almost look like they've got like Rathian. Like he has his own unique model, but it feels like they've got the Rathian base model. Like I feel like their models are a lot more. They look more chiseled than the current male humans we
Yeah,
have.
I'm looking at the picture now. I can see what you mean. Like you said, the female ones do just look like the current female human faces. Like these male ones, they do look more unique in the actual facial features and things, which is nice.
Yeah, I definitely like the customization. I think the customization looks pretty good. And have you seen the Dracthir dance? Because the dance actually looks really good.
Yeah,
No,
I'm,
I've not actually seen
I'm
it.
watching the
Oh.
gif of it right now. Actually,
Yeah,
Say that.
the Dracthir dance looks really good. It's like shuffling and everything.
Yeah, I wish I could dance like that.
Oh yeah, that's it now. Yeah, it's shuffling. Fair play.
Yeah, and like the animations, I must admit, look really smooth and like
Yeah, very smooth. Yeah.
it's gonna
like
be cool.
The flying animation looks really like I like the flying animation in
Yeah.
their dragon form as well.
Like that's the bit that are they gonna be because okay, we have a moonkin, but and that causes problems. If you have say 2 or 3 of these in your raid, is it just gonna be an overwhelm of animations and like how much stuff are you gonna actually have on your screen due to these things flying around and like possibly leaping from one area to another because like they're dragons.
I mean, that already feels like an issue with some of the Covenant abilities. Like I know Rakasta probably finds the same. Some of the bosses when there's like ground effects and everyone's putting down, their like their Ashen Hollows and their Wild Spirits and all this stuff. It's really hard to actually see what's going on.
Bayline Stomp and things like that.
Yeah.
I can't see the blue because everything on the floor is blue that everyone else has put down.
Oh yeah, Scarlet.
Yeah.
Was it the other night on Lord of Dreads where everyone puts their wild spirits and all sorts down? The purple sleep cloud appears in it, and you just can't see it.
You can't see it, yeah.
It's somewhere. You just got to guess.
Yeah.
It feels like it might be there.
It doesn't
Can't
help
see
that
it anywhere else.
Night Fae's been such a popular like Covenant
Yes.
for that everyone's Night Fae nearly, and then everything's blue, and it's blue on top of blue, and you can't see anything.
Yeah. So much blue.
So I don't know what could be much worse at this point, but we'll see.
Are the dragons the same size as like a human?
I
Or they're slightly
assume
bigger?
they're going to be the like from the cinematic. Some of the clips that they released, they look like our size, maybe slightly bigger. Like they look like Tauren sized, I would say.
It's hard to tell
that's not-
because like the horns and stuff maybe makes them look a bit bigger as well, so it's hard to tell. I think exactly.
It's not going to be the
wingspan as well.
it's not going to be the height. It's the width. They're going to be
Yeah.
wide models. But we'll see how it goes. I am hoping it's going to be a. I hope that won't be a problem. That in raids, it's like, yeah, everyone stood in the stuff because the dragon was like flying over and nobody saw it.
It's like Mosh in demon form over again, thinking he's the imposter.
Yeah, killed the demon hunter.
Oh god, yeah. Kill all the dragons. Oh no, wait.
Yeah. What else do we have to cover? We mentioned it actually. Dragon riding. Dragon riding looks very interesting. Like, rather than just having normal mounts. Like, I know they've said they're going to allow you to use your normal mount in the zone of. They didn't say when. I'm hoping it's not immediately, personally. But like, you're going to be able to use your normal flying mounts. But supposedly, this Dragonflight's going to be faster and more efficient to traverse the zone and stuff like that.
Yeah, this meant to be unlocked like immediately, isn't it? Basically, you can get it like very early on.
I'm wondering if we're going to be using it leveling. Like, you're actually, instead of like, oh no, you have to unlock Pathfinder and things like that, or you have to hit max level. I'm wondering if we're actually going to be leveling in the zone with the dragon riding.
Yeah, I think like this zone is like out of every zone they've had, this is one that would make most sense because it is a dragon zone, and they're going to be flying around, so we probably should be able to as well. So I think that would probably make the most sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about their dragons, they're not going to have bridges to different islands. They can just fly. So if we get there, we're like, can you give us a lift? Oh, here you go. Here's a dragon mount you can fly in your new way of flying.
Can you build us some bridges, please?
Can't get to that little island.
Here's our friend. Here's our friend. You can ride him. Yeah. And like you said, the customization options, I assume some of them are going to be locked behind achievements and things like that. But I imagine some are going to be behind rares and like treasures, possibly. Whether or not they bring treasures back, we don't know. But I imagine they're going to be similar to that. That it's just going to be like a drop. Do you know, like similar to the soul from Night Fae? When you just get a random drop that gives you a soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine that's what we're going to get. But it seems to be really customizable, like different fronts, backs, wings, armor.
Yeah, I imagine there'll be a lot of these. Probably like you said, different achievements, like treasures. Different things like that.
Yeah, it just gives us a bit more of a longer lasting thing to level up that isn't too gameplay impacting throughout the expansion.
And you can make yours unique.
It does seem like a lot of times that you kind of log into raid, do a few dungeons, and that's it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas this does give you something, even though it's kind of, it is just a dragon. It's not going to help you with DPS. Well, I hope it doesn't. Then it gives you something to unlock. Way on.
Yeah, I've seen someone describe it as the artifact dragon. It's like this expansion's version of the artifact power.
Oh, I'm hoping you can make them look really dopey and have like a really mixed match, like messed up looking dragon. I really want to make mine just look so like wrong.
Tongue sticking out.
Yeah, just like I got the broken one, but I like him. Like, I just want to make it look like wrong. Like have the wrong. Like if it's really mix and match, and you can just go like, yeah, I want this towel. Like make it completely rainbow and.
Yeah, just mismatch all the parts.
Yeah, that's what I really want. I doubt they're gonna let us do that. Oh yeah, they have announced you can. It will be while you're leveling up. You're going to have the drink.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It does make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I wonder how easy it is to swap around customization though. Was it something once you've locked it in, that's kind of it for a week, kind of thing? Like,
I imagine you're
you
just
constantly swap it around.
I assume it's going to be saying you can just go to the guy and go, hey, I want a new nose on my dragon. Can you give him a nose job, please?
Dragon plastic surgeon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I imagine people don't really like things being like time gated or locked behind things like that. Especially just changing things over.
Yeah.
Like even with the covenants early on when we had like the energy and stuff. Like I think maybe they've learned their lesson that way.
It's definitely like, especially as they said they're going to gain abilities and things like that to make them fly faster and further and things like that. I imagine there's going to be I'm hoping they've also said something about like a Stranglethorn Vow type event. The fishing event.
Oh, okay.
Server-wide stuff, I think they said. That's going to be really interesting if you can like have races and like win like unique customizations and things like that. That's like server-wide.
Like pimp my dragon.
Yeah. But it's like them status symbol things that I feel like are really lacking in game. Like, yeah, you have Keystone Master mount, and especially early on, it's maybe a little bit difficult to get Keystone Master. You have to be somewhat difficult, but by the end, nearly everybody has the Keystone Master mount, so it's not really a status symbol. You have the occasional, like you have the end of raid mounts. But again, I don't feel like they're that big. I personally, maybe it's because I'm not personally interested in mounts, but like, whereas the customization of that actually appeals to me more than mounts do.
You have to have something, especially if there's a lot of options. You can have something unique to you, and no one else has that exact mount. I think that's kind of cool. Like, I definitely like that.
Like, what's the other one? The it used to be a gear. Gear used to be the defining thing that gave you that status symbol. That hey, I'm a raider. Like I worked hard for this gear, sort of thing. Like I've cleared Black Temple. You know that player has cleared Black Temple because there's a rogue sitting there with Warglaives.
Yep. Oh, definitely, yeah, before transmog and things like that. Like, I remember, like, vanilla getting my might set for the first time and wearing it around Ironforge and feeling, like, really cool. Because I had my, like, had my set for the showing off my shoulders of might and stuff, yeah.
And now you get, like, you walk past someone, they've got, like, no top on, a pair of green trousers and a stick in their hand, and you look at them, you inspect them. Yeah, that's like... That's like, I actually described my priest, but... but you look at them and they've got like the best gear in the game, and it's like, but you've got green trousers and a stick.
Or you're like Tringles, who's basically a farmer.
Yeah, and it's like, it's cool. Like I like that customization, and I don't think that's bad. I think the way that transmog was introduced was a good thing. But
definitely. But it doesn't exist. Isn't that status anymore?
There's no
like,
status.
Someone a certain piece of gear, you know they have that piece of gear. Yeah.
Whereas now there's so many looks that can be duplicated and. Yeah, you have the mythic tier sets and things like that, but like especially when you've got systems like the Creation Catalyst means that somebody can just run Mythic Plus, put the items into the Creation Catalyst, and get that look. It's no longer a status symbol.
See as well, I think it might be 9.25 rather than the new expansion, but they were talking about, I think they're doing white and grey items can be transmogged as well. So that opens up a bit more as well, like customization.
But yeah, so the dragons look good. They definitely look good.
It's just nice to have a new rate because it's been quite a while. It's nice to have something fresh in the game, I think, as well.
I'm wondering if they're pushing for it. This is like they're testing it for mounted combat. I know they've always said that they've said several times they're going to do like a mounted combat thing, and they keep going away from it. I think their first test was in Wrath of the Lich King with the tournament.
Like Trial of the Crusader and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But and I don't think that was super successful. I think people hated it. I weren't a fan of the whole charge at people and thing.
Yeah, it was okay the first few times. It was kind of cool. Like I actually enjoyed the atmosphere of the whole area, but it got quite tedious when you had to do it like every day.
But I'm wondering if they're gonna like push for a mounted combat sort of BG or arena or something like that, where you can actually fight other people on the dragons and things like that. Where maybe that's what they're heading towards. So it's less vehicle and it feels more fluid, especially if you're using it around the world. It's not like, oh, I just jumped on some random horse and started poking people with a stick.
Yeah, it's actually your dragon.
It's your dragon, and you're gonna feel somewhat connected, and you want to beat the others. And like, I feel like that could be something that they're pushing towards. At least that's what I saw when I thought of it, because I know it's been mentioned.
Yeah. Like you said, with the customization, it would make it a lot more interesting than stuff they've tried previously.
Yeah. So I think, I've got 2 more things that I was going to mention. I think 3. Yeah, I think we got 3 more things to discuss. One of which was the new UI stuff. The fact that they're updating it. Whether are you going to stop using certain add-ons just because they're going to introduce it?
Probably not. I think we get so used to it, like especially using something like ELP UI, where like it makes it kind of changes everything. You get so used to that. I think it would be quite jarring. But I think for newer players or maybe people who don't use as many add-ons, it could be really good.
I think it's going to be really good for the people who always say, like, I'm quite big on my UIs. I really think UI is a super important part of the gameplay, and base UI does not achieve what it needs to now. It's so bad. Like, the bars are too low. You can't track your skills properly and things like that. I think being able to shift it, I think we're actually going to improve the quality of player, the average player, by a fair bit, because they're going to be able to go, I can't see my bar all the way down at the bottom of the screen. I keep looking down. Wait, someone goes, you can move that up. Oh, I'll move it up then. Oh, my health's all the way up. I know you can already move the health, but my health's all the way up here, and my skills are down here. I'm standing in the fire. Like, oh, I can move that down, so that's closer. Like, it's one of those that I think design philosophy, to make something look good, generally you put everything out the way so people can enjoy the game. But then the problem is, now none of the information you need is there.
Yeah, because I'm sure, I guess you guys are probably the same. Like, you first started playing this game, you just played it like that, and you didn't really realize at first. It kind of you realize, wait a minute, I can't actually see any of this stuff, and it's like really awkward. It kind of takes a while to realize like what you need to change.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have that built into the rather than having to rely on add-ons, it's like always a good thing. Because they were talking about, I think they want to have like basically you can move the whole UI around from the video I watched.
Yeah,
I know that's really good.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm the same as you. I obviously, same as everyone else, I used the default when I first started. It wasn't actually until I played Rift. Do you remember Rift at all?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember their action bar was quite high up, just below the character. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Why can't I do that in WoW? And I remember looking for an add-on that would change it. And I think that's where I found Tuck UI and then went on to Elv UI. But this definitely helps, the casual player, and that player that hasn't played for a couple of years and is a bit like daunted by all the add-ons and all sorts of UI stuff they're going to have to download, and just think, oh my God, I got to do all this. Can't play with the default because it's just horrible. But this makes it a lot more accessible for those returning players, definitely.
I
I
guess
would definitely agree with that. Yeah, because like there's times where like I've maybe been on a break from the game, quite long breaks at times, and I've thought of coming back, and actually the thought of having to immediately set up the UI is actually really intimidating and nearly put you off. So I agree, like having that more accessible is a good thing.
especially with profiles, because again they said profiles it's going to be importable, so you can go, okay, I know you can currently do that with add-ons, and I don't think you should, my opinion. But like you can just go, I like the look of that one, I'm going to import their layout. That layout will work for me, sort of thing. Therefore I am like, just one click, I've now got that. Rather than I'm going to move it here, that doesn't look quite right to me, I'm going to move it here. I'm hoping they have some sort of grid system as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
So you
snap
can.
it. Yeah.
It doesn't even need just grids, so you can line everything up, so that you know where the center of the screen is and things like that. Because I know I've done that with my current UI. I have one bar that's off center, and it drives me mad. But I'm just
couldn't do with that.
Yeah, everything has to be symmetrical. Like, I
Yeah.
can't handle things not being symmetrical. So yeah, I agree.
like, I'm hoping they have a grid system so that you can easily set things up, and it looks cleaner, like regardless of whether you're going to use it or not. Like, I really don't like the Blizzard art bar. I don't know why. That's like, I get that thing, but every time I log on to a new character and I'm like, what's the first thing I disable? I go straight into my bartender and go Blizzard art bar off, because I do not want them. Like, I know they spend a lot of time on the graphics, and I think especially the new ones look really good, but I'm like, I don't want them phoenixes there, or griffins there, or I don't want wyverns there. Why? Because they're in the way. I don't want to see them.
Clean, smooth, minimalistic.
Yeah.
That's what I need. No distractions.
Like, I get why they put them in though. It's like,
yeah, I think when the game first came out, like a lot of like MMOs and games had that sort of style, and it's kind of moved on since then, and they haven't really like updated the UI
in a long time. Yeah. The other one was I feel like they could do that with the minimap though, and that's such a missed opportunity, as actually make the minimap look really cool, because I feel like people would be okay with their minimap looking a little bit fancy, but it doesn't.
So out of the way,
and
especially most people keep it out of the way anyway.
Yeah, like, it's saying that I know a couple of fights where I've actually used the minimap, but they are very few and far between.
Yeah, usually don't even look up there most of the time.
Yeah. Mine's down in the bottom right, but
most time I use it as if there's like I'm looking for like a repair or something.
Yeah, that's what most. I think that's what most people. So I think if they made a fancy looking, really nice looking minimap, you would have, like, I think that would go down really well compared to the griffins on the side of the skill bar.
Yeah. So the new skill bar looks way better. It looks like some of like the add-ons actually. It has that sort of feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Just looks a lot nicer and a lot cleaner.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get all of the new auction house UI. Do you know, like, I actually really like the new auction house. I don't really use it, but the new auction house UI, where it has all the cleaner lines and things like that, I actually hope that all of that goes into like the spell book and the, like, because everything, like, I don't like to call the game dated, because I think the actual gameplay and the look of the game is actually quite modern. But the spell book and things like that feel really left behind.
Yeah, again, they've not been updated in a long time. Like, if you go back and play Classic, it pretty much looks the same.
Yeah, same stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm hoping that all gets updated with like the fresh lines and things like that, and definitely looks. I'm hoping it looks cleaner.
Yeah, it's a really good start. I've always felt like they should have like a simpler version of WeCorers built in to like the UI as well, because that's the main one, right? It's UI and some form of WeCorers.
Yeah, issue WeCorers, issue bars, and maybe some like tell me when, which I know WeCorers is a tell me when, but some people prefer like you use boss mod. Sorry, I was exchanging WeCorers for a boss mod of some description, because the bosses don't telegraph enough. I think that's something that I really think that they could push forward, is in this new UI thing, make sure bosses telegraph abilities really well.
Yeah, that's like, just to compare, like playing like Final Fantasy 14, like that's something they do really well. Like the abilities are so well telegraphed, you know exactly where it's hitting and when it's hitting. Like WoW doesn't do that very well.
It's not just when it's hitting and where it's hitting; it's how it's hitting. Like,
yeah,
make it so it's obvious this needs to be soaked, which I think they've actually got a lot better with in terms of like the soak rings, because you move into it, the soak thing, like the soak animation disappears. So it's like, yeah, this is a soak. Whereas if you're standing something that's going to hurt you, it just stays glowy and dangerous. But like, I think there's more to it than that. Like, for example, if there's for example, Anduin with the cone, I feel like the cone is really obvious unless it falls under the floor and you can't see the animation. But that's another issue. But like, there should be something that indicates that people need to stand in it and some people don't. Like, it not necessarily don't need to stand in it, but it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Saying that indicates that can be stood in and it's safe to a degree.
Even with something as simple as like an arrow or something, about just something to show that this is something you actually want to stand
Yeah.
in. Most stuff you don't want to stand in, so it's like, yeah.
It's like, and like, I think one of the best bosses that explain this is the last boss in what's the new mega dungeon called? Tazavesh. The very last boss in Tazavesh. I've stood there, like I'd done it a couple of days ago, and nobody actually understands what you like. They get arrows, and but you're not actually. It doesn't explain what you're supposed to do with the arrows. Like a fight should explain what you're supposed to do while you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean that's been a problem for quite a while. More like without boss mods, like you wouldn't have a clue what to do. Like especially not like when you're doing it for the first time, that you wouldn't be able to figure it out.
I think mythic raiding, I think it's fine to have a boss that but is made easier or possibly possible by a external mod. I think that's fine. But I think for normal mechanics and dungeons, everything should be telegraphed and easy to understand because your general WoW population is in that content.
Yeah. Also, something like they're really pushing for accessibility at the minute in certain things as well. They kind of bring it up quite a bit. Like, and that to me, that's something that's accessibility issue as well. You know, if it's easier to see what abilities do and how to deal with them, like that makes the content more accessible as well. I think. Yeah, just that like it basically, if things are easier to like work out and see how abilities work, I think it just makes that more accessible.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I know some people you see, some people on like Reddit and stuff complaining that these top end guilds use like weak auras and stuff to tell them what to do, whereas they're kind of almost against boss mods and want people just to play it as it is out of the box, not say UI, but none of these weak auras that tell them when to pick things up, when to stand in this, when to soak, that kind of thing.
I think that's fine. Like, I think weak auras that make the mechanic easier to deal with. So, like, it tells you need to do the mechanic now. I think is fine. But when you need a boss mod to tell you that the mechanic is happening, that, like, hey, group up because you don't know, like, you didn't know that you needed to group up, that's where there's a problem.
Yeah, there's no actual basic timers, is there?
Yeah.
Without a boss mod.
I think that's the difference. I think being told, okay, you want to start moving now because you're like, you might be really far away because you're a bad hunter standing in the fire elsewhere. When a boss mod tells you to move, it's because it's telling you because you might be far away. When it's telling you because the mechanic isn't obvious, that's the problem. And I think most of the time the mechanic isn't, not most of the time, a lot of the time the mechanic isn't obvious. I think Skolex is a really good example of this because nowhere does the boss actually, there's no indication that you're going to group up, that when you group up he's going to burrow and hit you.
Yeah,
and that's not saying that's going to happen by accident.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Sometimes like the trash before the boss will kind of show you the abilities, but that's one where like you wouldn't figure it out until you literally have just all stacked up. Like
by
there's
accident,
nothing to show you have to do it.
Yeah, there's nothing that explains why. Like even if it is just a prompt in chat that tells you he's getting restless, like
some kind of indication.
Yeah, even if it's not obvious, that the mechanics should be in game, but not necessarily. Like I think it's fine to use add-ons to make mechanics easier, but the mechanics should be obvious.
Yeah, it shouldn't be like basically you should be able to do it without the add-on. It should just make your life easier rather than like being essential. Like
I said, I think it's fine to have mechanics that, even if they're telegraphed really well and things like that, that are pretty much impossible without a boss mod telling you when to do it. I think that's fine. But when the mechanic isn't possible because you don't actually understand it without the weak auras or the thing like that, I think that's where the problem hits.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I'm following my boss mod and it says group up. Okay, I'm moving towards everyone now. Why? I have no idea. It's telling me to. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Computer says yes.
But at least this new HUD is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's
Sort
definitely
that out first, and then they can maybe implement something that
maybe
combines like weak auras and boss mods, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but maybe they're going to push towards. Maybe they're happy with the fact that people use external add-ons, and they're just going to push. Hopefully, they just push for more telegraphed abilities and things like that, making the raiding as clean as the UI, sort of thing. Making sure that the bosses are clean as well as the UI.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And clean UIs, the new professions have new UIs, the new profession systems. We got loads of new UIs for those.
I think it's going to have like skill tree and stuff for like professions as well. You can kind of specialize in different things, which sounds interesting.
Yeah, so I'm hoping there's going to be like the weaponsmith thing, the armorsmith thing. Although I'm hoping it'll go further that you can be like a mace spec and like you're really good at making maces and like someone's really good at making swords.
It did sound like that. Like again, one of the interviews, I think like Ion was saying stuff about how you could like specialize in like being like a blacksmith who specializes in helmets, and like you could be like the best at like making helmets on your server and stuff like that. So it did sound interesting.
It does make me think that, for example, if you really want to conquer markets, you're gonna need a lot of alts. Like
they had to go down different routes.
Yeah, because especially if they keep the two profession thing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so I need to make helms, chests, legs, gloves. Like, and that one character can specialize in one. Say they can only specialize in one item type.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you've got one person who can specialize in one art, and that can get two, right? Because they could get, say, blacksmithing and leatherworking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now you need like 9. No, wait, more than that. Like you need like 14 alts just to do blacksmithing and leatherworking, and to be like the person who can craft all of the blacksmithing and leatherworking. I assume you're going to be able to do more than one type.
Yeah.
I'm hoping you can't do all of them.
Yeah, they made it sound like it's going to be quite like a reasonable like investment, mostly of time, to actually like specialize in something as well. So I guess maybe that's going to be like restriction as well.
I'm hoping it's an interesting one at least.
I know they're also talking about like trying to make crafting more relevant by maybe be able to make you craft stuff that is like more like mythic raid level, but not being necessarily easy to craft that, but still having that as like an option. Because at the minute, like especially a lot of the crafting professions, like someone like even the blacksmith and stuff, it's like it's only really relevant when you like first level, and then the gear's kind of useless after that.
Yeah.
Our poor top end guilds are going to have to spend millions on that expert that can build the helmet and the expert that can build the shoulders.
Yeah, but that's the advantage. I'm hoping they, for example, for especially a smaller guild like us, having the, say for example, the mythic. Say you need to raid mythic to be able to craft that mythic item, right? Say there's a mythic resource that drops in the mythic raid, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because of the new, I think it was the work order system. Someone doesn't actually have to raid mythic to be able to get hold of that item. They can craft it through the work order system. Now, before it would have felt unfair. Like if they'd put a mythic resource, you can't craft the best gear unless you go to the either buy the item or you mythic raid. So now you can go, actually, I can just go and make it for the mythic guilds because I was going to just sell it on the auction house. The mythic guilds can now go, actually, I'm going to go put a work order out for the boots. I have every mat for it. I put in the work order out, and now somebody who has spent their time on the professions can now just go, here we go, here are your boots. I crafted them for you.
Yeah,
instead of have to.
Yeah, I do like the sound of that. I like the sound that you actually can sort of specialize in something and be good at something, and actually people have to come to you or like put work orders out to you. That you're the one that can do this. I like this, like that. Even thinking about like vanilla, I remember just like first leveling, and I was like playing warrior, and I really wanted an Arcanite Reaper at the time, and there was only like 2 people on the server who could make it. It was kind of, I actually had to like hunt that person down. It was kind of nice that like not everyone just could make everything.
I think it's going to drive community. I don't know how well it's going to be on our server. I think there's going to be a lot of people being able to craft a lot of things because we're such a big server.
Yeah.
But I think, especially on the smaller servers, I think some people are going to become very, like, you're going to know that guy. It's like, he's the blacksmith. That is the blacksmith guy.
Like you said, I think it's good for a sense of community, actually knowing people, by their reputation, because they're, said they're good at blacksmith and they're good at making a certain item. And I think it does actually help that sense of community rather than just going to the auction house and buying something,
I've got like visions of players setting out stalls along the strip into Stormwind, all trying to sell their gear on like a Sunday.
That's the thing.
Really cool, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're gonna have these little areas as well. They said they're gonna have crafting tables that you're gonna need to use in all of in the major city. The whatever the new city is gonna be called. But yeah, you're gonna have crafting tables, and like they said, in one area you're gonna have your blacksmith sitting over by the forge, and you're gonna have your alchemist sitting by an alchemy table, and like other things. Like it looks cool. The UI for it just all looks very cool. Like very community driven rather than.
It needed something, didn't it? Because I mean, ever since they took away the real benefit to professions, I just really haven't bothered with them. And the only real decent thing is maybe alchemists that get 2 hours on the flask. Other than that, it's all kind of gimmicky. And
engineer.
Since then, I've just engineer, of course, as well.
Yeah, every single character I have, like at the minute, is engineering alchemy because of like combat res, wormhole generator, and then the 2 hour flasks. So that's like. None of it's really to do with the actual crafting. It's just to do with the benefits, which is not really how it should be. It should be about the actual crafting itself.
Yeah, I agree. And they've made it a bit too gimmicky and not really no point in investing time in it, really. But now if they make it this new kind of idea, then there's a lot more interest in it anyway.
Especially with this expansion, like with the whole because I think they had the idea, the initial concept. I think grew from the Shadowlands crafted legendaries that somebody, because it's such an investment to go from 1 to 4. It was on the initial patch. I did it with I think 2 items, and I was like, there's no way. I spent like huge amounts of gold. Like I sunk like 1.2 million into being able to craft the helm and the shoulders for leatherworking at the highest rank, and it was just like I sank so much gold into this. And like, I wanted to be the helm and shoulder guy, but like, because it wasn't so unique, I see the system. Like, I feel like it grew from the legendary basis that we have currently.
Yeah, it's just with it was too easy for like it didn't take that long for loads of people to be able to do it, and then you kind of lost your niche.
But like, even though I sank loads of gold into it, I couldn't be that niche because it wasn't rare enough. And like they couldn't make it rare because legendaries were such a big draw of the expansion. Like everyone wants their legendary power. Everyone wants the top rank legendary for that.
Yeah, whereas this new system, if they pull it off right, at least it sounds like you could have more of those like niche areas where like you're like one of the best at the server at something, which I think sounds really cool.
Especially if it's crafted, like they had the, again, it's in development so it may change, but they had the crafted quality thing with like it had ranks. And like if you had a low rank, it had less stats, and you're gonna want the best rank. But it may not be. It might be that you can't actually get the best rank on day one because nobody has the skill to do it. What I'm hoping is that people don't then not buy the rank ones. I'm hoping that people will still buy the rank ones because I'm hoping the difference isn't enough to warrant it. And things like that.
Yeah, people are just going to hold out. Like people still want to craft the lower ranks.
The difference isn't big enough to like warrant the. I feel like that's a really hard balancing issue, though.
Yeah, better to see how they actually pull it off. It's a good idea in theory, at least.
It is really cool. The idea of being able to be basically someone on the server, to be that individual. And I think there was profession gear as well, wasn't there? That you're gonna have, like you're gonna have gear that's like tied to your professions.
Was this so? I've not actually seen this bit. Is this stuff that you have to be that profession to actually be able to use, or?
Yes.
Yeah, like the candle on the end of the hard hat kind of thing, right?
The mining
like
hat
that.
and
Nice little touches.
Yeah, I'm really hoping. I know a lot of people were saying the opposite. I'm hoping it's not transmoggable. I'm hoping it stays as like profession gear. That this is your profession gear. You don't wear this every day. This is because you're doing you're going mining. You're not wearing it because.
Be easy to spot to gank though, wouldn't it, on a PvP server?
Yeah.
He's got the helmet on. Get him.
Yeah, he's mining. Go get him. It makes me think that I think they showcased the mining one, but it makes me think, what do you put on a herbalist that makes them look like a herbalist?
Just a big
Yeah,
backpack with flowers in it.
I was gonna say, do you just put a big hat on them, like a big sun hat?
Big flower sticking at the top of it.
Yeah, like I just feel like some of them are really obvious. Like jewel crafting, I think, was really obvious. Like with like
bling, right?
and they've got like the what's it called, the little monocle thing.
Yeah, I was thinking like a monocle thing. Yeah.
I've forgotten what they're called. The thing to check jewels, to check their quality and things like that.
Yeah, it's like a magnifying glass type thing built into it. Like, yeah.
That sort of thing makes sense, and it's like alchemy. Yeah, you can wear like goggles and stuff like that. That makes it look like alchemy. I feel like some of the others, leather working, for example, I feel like you can have a little short knife. That's it. Like I can't really see. They've probably got ideas, but it makes this
pelt over your shoulders or something.
Yeah, it's like
tailoring as well. Tailoring is another one that would be a bit like I don't know where they go with it.
Yeah,
just a needle and thread.
Yeah. It's one of those that I feel like it's very hard to. There's some that I think it's going to be really distinct, and some they may have done a really good job on it. But like I said, I feel like they displayed the very obvious ones, like mining, jewel crafting.
It wouldn't surprise me if that's the ones they'd done initially, because it was easier to like go, okay, this is like quite thematic. It's easy to make this look unique. We'll go with these ones first.
Yeah.
I like Marsh's input.
Yeah.
The head becomes just a big
sunflower. Yeah.
And the more they pick, the yellower it gets, kind of thing.
Yeah. What was the other? The professions. You're going to be able to hide recipes. I don't know if you knew this. You're going to be able to actually show at the moment. Again, development maybe to change, but like you're going to be able to hide recipes, which I think is brilliant. Like you're going to be able to
so other people can't see them when they inspect you, or
no, it's so that when you're going through your crafting list, you don't have to scroll down so far. So you can just go, I don't craft those, I'm hiding that, I'm hiding that, I'm hiding that, I'm hiding that. I craft these. It feels like you are going to set yourself up as this character crafts helmets and shoulders. That's it. That's all I craft. I'm hid everything else because I don't craft those.
Yeah, it sounds like a nice quality of life thing, so you're just not scrolling past loads of crap you don't actually want to craft.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, that sounds good.
I think it makes gear balance very hard, especially if crafted gear becomes very important, because then, for example, say plate, as an example, say the raid doesn't have good static plate shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you want to be the plate shoulder crafter, and that means that the market for plate shoulders is very high. I feel like there's a really hard balancing part.
Yeah, it was something they were talking about again in the interviews again. It was pretty much saying that they don't want it to be irrelevant. Like once you level and you make something, then you start raiding, it's irrelevant. They want to kind of make it relevant at top end raiding, but not so much that you can just go and buy a whole set of like mythic raiding gear really easily. So I think they were sort of saying that, whereas they're trying to find a balance that way. I think
it's going to be a unique tag on it in some way that you can only wear like X amount of pieces or something like that.
And it's maybe not necessarily going to be easy to actually get the materials you need. It's not going to be something you're just going to be able to like buy easily, or maybe you're going to have to like do certain content maybe to get certain items, or I don't know, something like that.
Yeah,
might even be like a loot council thing where you feed a funnel all the recipes and items, the ingredients into a certain person that can craft it right away.
Yeah. Like somebody, we got the mythic items that we need to craft it, and we've got our crafter sitting here. Let's make sure that they get the recipe and get the rank 5 recipe because we're going to need it. And things like that.
Yeah, that would make sense.
It definitely looks cool, especially with the work orders and stuff like that, that you're going to be able to set up guild work orders, and it's definitely I feel like a step in the right direction for professions. They definitely got me way more excited about professions than I think I've ever been in any expansion.
It doesn't feel like they ever really got it right. I don't think there's any expansion where professions have been that exciting, so it sounds like a good step in the right direction.
Yeah. don't know if there was anything else either of you two wanted to discuss, but that was my list.
Only that Khadgar's back.
Oh
God's
yeah,
sake.
I forgot about. I was actually going to mention the lore bit a little bit, like the people coming back and stuff like that. Whether or not you were happy with the.
I was happy that he was sitting out. I thought he was done now. He's
Yeah.
had his moment in the spotlight, but no, he's back.
I never liked Khadgar. I never.
Just irritating.
Yeah, I find him annoying.
It could be worse. It could be Magni calling you champion over and over again.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with champion. I just don't like Khadgar. Yeah, Khadgar sucks.
Khadgar. Ugh.
I like the because I think it was Tyrande is another big one for this expansion. There was one more, but I can't remember who it was. No, it was Khadgar, Tyrande. Yeah, it's got Rathian, I think, was the other name they mentioned.
I like this Rathian kind of story.
Yeah,
anyway, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with it.
I feel like some people might be tired of Tyrande, but I feel like we didn't really get Tyrande this expansion. We got edgy Tyrande that wasn't really her.
Emo Tyrande.
Yeah.
Just hardcore rage. Yeah.
Yeah, she was just running around constantly.
Yeah. But I'm hoping we get like I'm actually really looking forward to in terms of the lore, like the Ysera's daughter and things like that, like Marithra and Rathian and Blackhorn, because like I don't know how either of you two are into the lore, but like like I have got so many questions and it's like none of them were answered.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I'm just interested to see what they do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, the cinematic definitely wasn't answering any questions, that's for sure.
no,
it gave me
that's
more questions because it's like they kept mentioning, especially in the what's it called? All the deep dives and things like that. They kept mentioning like the aspects. And it's like, but the aspects don't technically exist anymore because the aspects ended in Cataclysm. The aspect is just like a name for the leader of that flight. So it's like, why do you still refer them as aspects? And it's like, is that coming back? Is that saying there's going to be a thing again? Are you changing Cataclysm? Did the whole Deathwing thing not happen?
and I know like the Dragsphere are meant to be like it like have all like it's all 5 aspects like stuff as well.
Access to all of the power.
Yeah.
the collective might of dragonkind. That's what they said.
Yeah, they're the Captain Planet of dragons.
With Dragonflights combined.
Yeah. But yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of questions. I'm actually, I would say, in terms of expansions, I'm looking for the past 2. I've not really been that, as they say, hype for. Offered the trailers and things like that. I always enjoy a new expansion. I like leveling. I like the content and things like that. This is the first one in a really long time that I actually feel super excited for because it feels like going back rather than going back but forward.
Yeah, I think even just like if they can pull it off and if they haven't overpromised, I think a lot of the stuff like going in the right direction with a lot of stuff as well. Like I'm probably more interested in like the last 2 expansions. I wasn't probably super excited for. I think this one definitely looks more interesting, and I sort of like the direction they're taking things in. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's good. And the new cap is 70, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got 10 levels.
That's not so bad for me as
Not
a slow
5.
leveler.
Well, it'd be fine. You'll do it in no time. I did this one in 6 hours. I got beat 6 hours.
Yeah, I think I might take a little longer than that.
Just a guess, but I think Fire will be the first 70 in the guild.
Maybe.
We got new people, so I don't know how hard they're gonna hit. We might have a secret speed leveler.
Someone hitting the beta even harder than you are, and then just comes out of the gate and throws you off.
But does anyone in the chat have any questions that they would like to ask? Anything that we may have missed, or so on and so forth? Nope.
Thanks, Louis. Nope.
Yeah, that was
They're usually full of questions.
Yeah. Yeah, I know this one's a bit different, so I guess questions aren't as easy. But like, it was just to check if anyone had anything that they wanted to ask, either myself, Ricasti, or Ternis.
You know, we've got a famous person here, Rick Astley.
Yeah, Ricasti.
Yep, I never give you up.
There aren't any?
There is one more quick thing that came into my head.
Yeah.
Actually, it was actually just about the new range DPS class. They actually described it as mid range.
Mid range.
Yeah, and apparently, like, one of the interviews are saying that the abilities are maybe going to be more like 25, 30 yards sort of range rather than like full 40 yards. So that's kind of interesting. But I don't know, like certain fights, is that going to make things awkward where you want the range at a certain point and you're going to have like your mid range at like a different point, or
Yeah, that's a good point. Range stack up. I can't.
I can't
Come to
cast any
me. Come
spells.
to me.
I'm
Yeah,
too far
can
away.
we put the stack point 5 yards closer because you're out of my range now? But there's always, like, I guess it does restrict, especially if you've got one. It makes me wonder if they might actually, like, for example, in World First races and things like that, like, we would never do it, but they may just outright say, we're not taking any of them because they're too much of an inconvenience.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because it is kind of. I don't think all their abilities are necessarily that range, but they talked about having like breath abilities and things like that are going to be
Yeah.
like shorter ranged. So yeah, it'd be interesting how they actually fit into like a range composition.
I'm really hoping they give, because I feel like, especially with the whole Dragonflight thing, I'm hoping they give them the magic debuff and give at least one other class the physical debuff as well, so that you've got a little bit of flexibility around it.
It makes sense of them having like that, like all 5 dragon aspects and stuff to have some kind of like debuff like that.
Personally, I would get rid of all of the debuffs, but
That's probably not
that's
going to
me.
happen. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Get rid of all the debuffs, buffs, like, get rid of them all. They don't add anything. They're just annoying. People feel like I get some of the stuff that it makes you feel like the class is more viable. For example, like warrior, it's like, yeah, but I give everyone 5% attack power, so, or 10%. I'm not sure how much it is, but like, you give everyone attack power. But like, the fact that they removed the scrolls as well, and it's just like annoying for guilds like us where we can't find certain classes.
Yeah,
I find
like
it so frustrating.
Yeah,
like,
it's you're actually kind of hamstrung. Like, it is quite a big disadvantage not having some of those buffs.
It's not like not having a lock. Not having a lock is fine. Not having access to that utility is the same as not having a shaman for Windrush or not having a druid for Raw.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think stuff like health stones and portals and things like that
I think
are
that's
fine.
completely fine.
Yeah, I think it was buffs that actually just make everyone do more damage and more healing. And like, I think that's not necessarily good.
But yeah. But yeah, if that's the, I think that's everything. I think we discussed everything, unless anyone thought was saying in the last.
No, I think as Luria said, we have talked about everything.
Yep. I think we covered pretty well there.
Yeah. But yeah,
Cool.
hoping it'd be a good expansion. I'm hoping beta or alpha will be out pretty soon, and we'll get to see some more stuff, and then
you can start practicing your speed leveling.
Yeah, go for gold. Yeah.
Cool.
I'd like to thank you too for being here and chatting with me. It was much appreciated.
Yep.
Thank you for the invite. Yeah.
Definitely.
And hopefully, like I said, I might do, if we get beta and stuff like that, maybe once we get a bit more information, once beta's out, maybe I'll do like a redo of this one, like second impressions, like after the beta's been out for a while and we've got maybe a bit more of a clear idea of how things work, whether you're disappointed, excited, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
with the same people.
Compare expectations versus what they've actually started to deliver. I think that would be good.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
But yeah, thank you, and hopefully I'll see you around.
Have a good
evening.
evening.
Thank you very much. I'm
Okay.
sure we'll see you around.
See you in a minute
Bye.
for a dungeon. Cheers.
Yeah. I'm gonna end the stream here and then reboot it, just so I have the VOD a lot easier. But thank you, and everyone that's new, thank you for watching. It's much appreciated. And yeah, stopping.